Chosen one, I want to begin with something that may sound unusual, but it carries more weight than you realize. Guard your words. There is something quietly unfolding in your life right now, something you have waited for through long seasons of hope, disappointment, and persistence. It is still in its earliest stage, tender and developing beneath the surface, and that is exactly why it needs care. What is taking shape within you is not meant to be exposed before its time. Before you tell someone about what you feel stirring in your spirit, before you explain it, announce it, or place it in the hands of people who may not understand it, listen carefully. Many people believe breakthroughs are lost because faith disappears, but often that is not the real reason. Sometimes the promise is spoken into the wrong atmosphere before it has had the chance to grow strong. We live in a world that encourages immediate sharing, immediate validation, immediate exposure, yet there are seasons when wisdom sounds more like silence than celebration. Think about a seed beneath the soil. No one rushes to uncover it every day just to prove it is growing. It develops in hidden places, protected from interruption, until its roots are strong enough to support what will eventually be seen. What is unfolding in your life carries that same fragile beauty right now, and it needs space to deepen before it can carry the attention of others. You may already know what I am talking about, because you have lived it. A dream entered your heart, a clear sense of direction arrived, or a vision for your future began to form. Excitement rose inside you, and naturally, you shared it with someone. Then something changed. A doubtful response, a careless question, or even a subtle lack of enthusiasm seemed to place uncertainty where confidence once lived. Sometimes it is not even what another person says. Sometimes the simple act of speaking too soon releases something that was quietly building strength within you. What felt vibrant begins to lose its momentum, and you are left wondering why the certainty you felt only days earlier suddenly seems distant. Many people blame themselves in those moments, believing they somehow failed, when the deeper truth is that something sacred was exposed before it was ready. I know the hidden season can feel lonely. When something beautiful is growing inside you, every instinct wants to share it with someone who will celebrate it. Carrying it quietly can feel heavy at times, almost as if you are holding a secret no one else can see. Yet this season is not about isolation. It is about development. It is about allowing something precious to mature without interference. You are not hiding what is growing because you are afraid. You are protecting it because it matters. Just as a mother carries new life privately before the world ever sees it, there are promises that require a season of shelter before they are revealed. What you carry is not a burden. It is evidence that something meaningful has been entrusted to you. If something inside you recognizes this truth, if you can look back and see moments when speaking too soon cost you more than you realized, then do something with me before we continue. Comment the words, "I will guard this." Not because the comment changes anything in heaven, but because it helps you make a conscious commitment to the season you are entering. Understand this clearly. The season of sealed lips is not punishment. It is protection. When you feel led to keep something private, it is often because what is growing has value. Important things are guarded. Precious things are covered until the right moment arrives. The very fact that you feel called to protect this promise should tell you how significant it is. The silence around it is not rejection. It is preparation. It is the shield surrounding something that is still making its way toward you. And yet, if we are honest, keeping things private has not always been easy for you. There have been times when the words seemed to spill out before you could stop them. There have been moments when you felt a strong desire to tell someone, hoping they would confirm what you already sensed in your heart. There is a deeper reason for that impulse, and later we will come back to it. For now, sit with this question: what if the urge to reveal everything immediately is not simply weakness? And what if the part of you that struggles to hold these things quietly can become stronger? Hold that thought for a moment, because understanding it changes everything. Let me show you why this matters. You have probably watched dreams lose momentum after being shared with the wrong person. You have likely felt excitement drain away after receiving a doubtful look or a hesitant response. Maybe opportunities seem to unravel after you announce them, leaving you confused about what happened. Over time, you may have even started believing that speaking about good things somehow causes them to disappear. What you experienced was deeper than superstition. When something is still fragile, exposure can place pressure on it before it has developed the strength to withstand it. You may also remember the pain of sharing something deeply meaningful with someone whose opinion mattered to you, only to have it minimized or misunderstood. Those moments leave wounds, and those wounds can make it harder to trust future promises. But the answer is not to stop believing. The answer is to learn how to protect what you believe until it is strong enough to stand on its own. Some dreams were never false. Some hopes were never unrealistic. They simply needed more time in private than they were given. There is a season between receiving a promise and seeing it fulfilled. During that space, what has been shown to you exists mostly in faith. It is real, even when there is little visible evidence. It rests in a delicate place between possibility and manifestation, and during that time your words carry tremendous influence. They can help protect what is growing, or they can expose it before it is ready. And here is the difficult truth that may set you free. Sometimes the reason you speak too soon is because a part of you is still looking for someone else to confirm what your spirit already knows. When you share the dream, the vision, or the breakthrough, you may be hoping someone will say, "Yes, I see it too. Yes, it is real." You may be searching for reassurance that what you carry is worthy of belief. That need for validation is often where the leak begins, because if you fully trusted what had already been placed in your heart, you would feel less pressure to seek agreement from the outside world. When you feel compelled to tell everyone what is coming, the deeper desire is often much simpler. You want to be believed. You want someone else to confirm the reality that is already beginning to form within you. The need for someone else to confirm what you already sense inside can become the opening through which precious things quietly escape. When a promise still feels fragile, it is tempting to place it in someone else's hands and wait for their approval before fully trusting it yourself. Yet the stronger your dependence on outside validation becomes, the harder it is to protect what is still growing. At its deepest level, the urge to speak too soon is often a longing to be believed, and that longing usually points to a place within you that is still learning how to trust what has already been shown to your spirit. I want you to understand something important about that struggle. It is easy to assume it reflects a flaw in your character, but that is rarely the truth. When people constantly seek confirmation from others, it is often because the part of them that should be able to carry a truth privately has grown tired, uncertain, or worn down by life. The issue is not that they have nothing real to hold on to. The issue is that they no longer feel fully anchored in what they already know. A person with a strong inner world can carry a secret promise for a very long time because they do not need anyone else to make it more real. They can sit quietly with what they have been given and allow it to mature without rushing it into the light. But when inner clarity becomes thin, there is often a powerful pressure to speak, explain, and seek reassurance. The need to externalize everything grows because holding it alone begins to feel heavier than it should. That is why so many breakthroughs lose their strength before they ever fully arrive. The problem is not always a lack of faith. Sometimes it is simply that the inner place designed to hold the promise has not yet become strong enough to protect it in silence. If those words touch something familiar in your heart, pause for a moment and acknowledge it. Comment the words, "I hold it in silence." That realization matters more than you may think. It marks the moment when you stop viewing yourself as someone who lacks discipline and begin understanding what has really been happening beneath the surface. Awareness changes everything, because once you can see the pattern clearly, it loses much of its ability to control you. Understanding creates space for a different response. Now, let me share what helps protect what is sacred. The first step is the understanding you are gaining right now. When you recognize that the impulse to speak comes from a desire for confirmation rather than from wisdom, you begin to separate yourself from the urge. The next time you feel compelled to tell someone everything, you will be able to pause and recognize what is happening inside you, instead of automatically acting on it. The second step is learning to see silence differently. Many people experience this season as though something is being withheld from them, but that perspective misses its true purpose. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is strength being built when no one else can see it. Every promise you protect, every sacred thing you choose not to expose prematurely, becomes another layer of inner stability. There is a quiet authority that develops in people who can carry something meaningful without needing an audience. They become rooted, they become steady. What once felt like deprivation begins to reveal itself as preparation. The hidden season is not shrinking you. It is shaping you into the kind of person who can carry the weight of what is coming. Each day you resist the urge to seek approval, and instead hold your promise with patience. Something deeper is forming within you. The breakthrough itself is important, but so is the person you are becoming while waiting for it. This season is forging an inner strength that will be needed when the promise finally arrives. What feels slow today is building capacity for tomorrow. The deepest part of the healing begins when you realize that your need for validation does not have to define you forever. Many people have accepted this struggle as if it was simply part of who they are. They assume they will always battle the same impulses and carry the same insecurities. But what if the weakness beneath the pattern is capable of becoming strong again? You cannot force your way out of every struggle through effort alone. Some things change when the deeper parts of you are restored. As that restoration happens, the desperate need for outside confirmation begins to lose its grip. The part of you that once depended on others to validate your reality gradually becomes strong enough to hold that reality with confidence and peace. Before we move forward, there is something else you need to understand. Not everyone who asks about your life is meant to carry access to what is growing inside you. Some people care about you deeply and still lack the capacity to celebrate what they have not yet experienced themselves. Their hearts may be good, yet their own disappointments can shape the way they respond. When a new promise is still taking root, sharing it with someone who is carrying unresolved pain can place an unexpected weight on it. Their doubts, fears, or limitations may have nothing to do with you, yet they can still affect something that is fragile and unfinished. Often, there is no ill intent involved. It is simply the overflow of wounds that have not fully healed. This is why wisdom matters as much as silence. Protecting what is sacred is not only about keeping quiet, it is also about discerning who can safely hold your joy and who cannot. There will be a time to speak. There will be people who can celebrate with you, nurture what is growing, and honor what has been entrusted to you. But every season has its timing. Right now, let the circle remain small. Let the promise rest in the quiet space between you and God. Allow it to deepen in private until it becomes so rooted that no opinion, question, or reaction can shake it. When the time is right, what was hidden will become visible. Until then, let it grow where it is safest, in the sacred silence where strong things are formed. Now let me show you what becomes possible when you truly embrace this season. Because sometimes the vision of what lies ahead gives you the strength to remain faithful in the present. Picture yourself a few months from now, having learned how to carry what is sacred without rushing to explain it. Imagine what happens when the promise growing inside you is allowed to develop in peace, protected from unnecessary opinions, untouched by doubt, and sheltered from the pressure of being understood too soon. What is quietly taking root today becomes strong in the hidden places. It grows beneath the surface where no criticism can reach it and no outside voice can interfere with its development. Then the day arrives when it is no longer fragile. What once needed protection stands firm on its own, and the people you once felt tempted to convince are no longer asked for their approval. Instead, they simply witness what has already become real. That is the gift of the sealed season. It is not a smaller life or a delayed blessing. It is the difference between a dream that fades and a promise that survives long enough to fully unfold. What is being protected now is being protected now, is being prepared for completion. The first thing that changes is you. A quiet strength begins to form inside you, the kind that comes from carrying something important without needing anyone else to validate it. You stop measuring the value of what you know by the reactions of other people. You become steady, grounded, and deeply anchored in what has already been placed within your spirit. When a person no longer depends on external confirmation, they become difficult to shake. Opinions that once disturbed them lose their influence. Doubt spoken by others no longer reaches the places that have been strengthened through patience and trust. There is a calm authority that begins to surround them, something people can feel even when they cannot explain it. The second transformation is just as powerful. The painful cycle of watching good things fall apart begins to break. What once seemed to disappear shortly after being spoken now has the chance to mature fully before entering the world. Because you have learned to protect what is growing, it reaches its intended destination with greater strength and stability. You become someone who allows dreams enough space to live. The difference is not that you suddenly start imagining bigger possibilities. The difference is that you stop exposing them before they are ready. What has been entrusted to you finally has the opportunity to become what it was always meant to be. But there is something even deeper waiting beneath all of this. As you learn to carry certain things quietly, your relationship with God begins to change. A sacred trust develops in the private places. What you once rushed to share with everyone becomes part of an ongoing conversation between you and Him. There is a closeness that can only be built in hidden seasons. When you carry something known only to you and God, a deeper awareness of His presence begins to emerge. The silence that once felt lonely becomes filled with connection. What seemed like isolation becomes intimacy. In that quiet space, you begin recognizing His voice more clearly. You stop looking everywhere else for confirmation, because you have learned to rest in what has already been spoken to your heart. The conversations become deeper, the trust becomes stronger, the hidden season reveals a kind of relationship that noise could never produce. Hold on to that picture of the future. Let it settle into your spirit. If this speaks to you, comment the words, sealed and protected. Say it as someone who understands the value of what they carry and has chosen to guard it with wisdom. You are not the first person to walk through a season like this. Throughout history, there have been people who understood that some things grow best in quiet places. They received something precious and carried it with reverence rather than urgency. They allowed it to mature in their hearts before offering it to the world. There have also been those who shared too quickly, placing a fragile promise before people who were unable to understand it. What followed was unnecessary resistance, misunderstanding, and delays that might have been avoided. The lesson appears again and again. Wisdom knows when to speak, and wisdom also knows when to wait. Perhaps there have been seasons when you recognize yourself in the second story more than the first. Perhaps you shared what was still forming because you were excited, hopeful, or longing to be understood. But this season is teaching you a different way. It is teaching you the value of carrying something carefully until the time is right. You are becoming someone who knows how to treasure what is sacred. You are learning how to hold a promise close without feeling pressured to explain it. That is not weakness, that is maturity. It is the development of an inner strength that will serve you far beyond this current season. The lesson is larger than this one breakthrough. What you are learning now will help protect future blessings, future opportunities, and future promises as well. Every time you choose wisdom over impulsiveness, patience over exposure, and trust over validation, something powerful is being formed within you. You now understand the pattern more clearly than before. You see why the urge to speak becomes so strong, and you see what becomes possible when you resist it. The future being prepared for you deserves a guardian who can protect it wisely, and perhaps the most important realization of all is this. The struggle that once seemed permanent does not have to define you. The desire for constant confirmation can lose its hold. The inner steadiness you have been searching for can grow stronger. As that strength develops, silence no longer feels like deprivation. It begins to feel like confidence. It becomes the quiet assurance of someone who no longer needs the world to verify what God has already placed within their heart. What is coming does not need to be announced before its time. It needs to be protected. And as your inner world grows stronger, you become the kind of person who can carry that responsibility with grace, patience, and peace. Before we go any further, I want to bring your attention back to what matters most. This message has never been about finding an outside solution. It has always been about what is taking shape within you and who you are becoming as you learn to protect what has been entrusted to your care. The breakthrough itself matters, but the person being formed while waiting for it matters just as much. So let me speak directly to that person now. Beneath every moment when you shared too soon, beneath every disappointment and every dream that felt interrupted before its time, there is something deeper about you that deserves to be recognized. You are a guardian. The very fact that you are being asked to carry something carefully is evidence that it carries value. This season is not a correction handed down because you failed. It is a sign of trust. You are being invited into a deeper level responsibility, one that requires patience, wisdom, and the ability to hold something sacred without feeling the need to explain it to everyone around you. What feels like restraint today is actually preparation for greater stewardship tomorrow. There is also a depth developing within you that many people never take the time to cultivate. In a world where almost everything is shared the moment it happens, the ability to hold something quietly and confidently has become rare. Yet that quiet strength creates a kind of presence that people naturally recognize, even if they cannot explain why. The sealed season is building that depth inside you. It is teaching you how to carry certainty without constant confirmation. It is showing you how to trust what has been placed in your heart without needing the world to immediately agree with it. The result is a steadiness that cannot be manufactured and an authority that grows naturally from within, and the promise you are protecting reaches further than you realize. What is being prepared in your life is not meant to stop with you. The strength, wisdom, healing, or blessing that eventually emerges from this season will touch lives beyond your own. Every time you choose patience over premature exposure, you are helping preserve something that may one day serve many others. That is why your silence is not selfish. It is an act of care. It is the willingness to protect something while it is still growing, so that it can eventually reach its full purpose. What survives because you guarded it wisely may become a source of encouragement, provision, or hope for people you have not even met yet. Let me leave you with something practical to carry into your everyday life. Before the noise of the day begins, before opinions, distractions, and demands compete for your attention, take a few moments to return to stillness. Give yourself space to reconnect with the truth you already carry, instead of immediately looking outward for confirmation. The goal is simple. Begin your day by strengthening your inner world. Build a place within yourself where promises can rest safely without needing immediate validation. The stronger that place becomes, the easier it will be to protect what matters most. There is another practice that will help you as well. When the urge to speak rises, and there will be moments when it does, meet it with awareness instead of reaction. Do not judge yourself for feeling it, and do not rush to satisfy it. Simply recognize it for what it is. Pause and tell yourself, this is the hunger, not the truth. The hunger wants reassurance. It wants someone to agree, applaud, or confirm. The truth is quieter than that. The truth already knows what has been planted within you and does not depend on immediate recognition to remain real. The more clearly you identify that difference, the less power the impulse begins to hold over you. What once felt overwhelming becomes easier to observe without obeying. And little by little, the calmer, steadier part of you begins to take its rightful place again. A person who can sit peacefully with what they carry possesses a strength that cannot be shaken easily. That strength is growing in you now. Each time you choose trust over urgency and patience over exposure, you are becoming more capable of protecting the very things you once feared losing. If this speaks to something deep within you, comment the words, "I guard what is sacred." Let it be a reminder to yourself that what has been entrusted to you deserves care, wisdom, and time. The promise is still growing, and so are you. I once heard about someone who had watched too many good things slip away. After years of seeing dreams fade shortly after they shared them, they eventually came to believe that disappointment simply followed them wherever they went. They thought they were unlucky, destined to watch every promising beginning fall apart. What they could not see at the time was that many of those fragile hopes had been exposed before they had the chance to take root. Everything began to change when they learned how to hold what was growing without immediately giving it away. They did not describe the shift as gaining more discipline or forcing themselves to stay quiet. Instead, they said the constant urge to tell everyone simply lost its grip. Their inner world had become strong enough to carry the joy without needing outside confirmation, and for the first time, something they protected in silence reached its full expression without being interrupted along the way. That experience is not as rare as you might think. When a person learns how to safeguard what has been entrusted to them, things begin to unfold differently. Promises have room to mature. Hope has room to deepen. What once felt fragile develops the strength to endure. Before we bring this message to a close, I want to invite you into a moment of reflection. This is where understanding becomes something more personal. Wherever you are, allow yourself to settle for a moment. Let your shoulders relax. Take a slow breath and allow the noise around you to soften. Now imagine the thing you have been carrying, the hope, the promise, the quiet sense that something meaningful is taking shape in your life. Picture it as a small flame resting safely in your hands. It is alive, warm, and full of possibility, but it is still young enough to require care. It deserves protection while it gathers strength. See yourself gently cupping your hands around that flame, not because you are hiding it, and not because you are ashamed of it, but because you understand its value. You are creating space for it to grow into something far greater than it appears today. What begins as a small light can become a fire capable of illuminating everything around it. Take a moment to feel the significance of what you are holding. Let yourself recognize how precious it is. Then make a quiet commitment within your heart that you will care for it wisely. Decide that you will not hand it over to every opinion, every doubt, or every passing reaction before it is ready to stand on its own. Hold that image for a moment longer. Let it remind you that some things become powerful because they were protected while they were still becoming. What you carry deserves that same patience. Now take another slow breath and allow gratitude to enter the space. Nothing forced, nothing dramatic, just a simple acknowledgement that something meaningful has been entrusted to your care. Recognize that you are being shaped into someone capable of carrying responsibility, wisdom, and trust. There is a quiet grace in that realization. As you breathe, begin releasing the things that have weighed on you. Release the need to constantly seek validation. Release the fear of carrying something alone. Release the disappointment of dreams that seem to disappear after being shared too soon. Allow those burdens to leave your hands and fall away from you. Let go of the belief that every promise requires immediate confirmation from other people. Let go of the loneliness you may have associated with this hidden season. Let go of the regret connected to past mistakes. You have learned from them, and you do not need to carry them any longer. As that weight lifts, notice what remains. There is a steadiness beneath the fear. There is a confidence beneath the uncertainty. There is a stronger version of you emerging from the lessons this season has taught. From that place, quietly affirm who you are becoming. Say it within yourself if you choose. I will protect what has been entrusted to me. I will honor what is growing in my life. I do not need constant approval to trust what I already know in my heart. I am becoming someone who can carry sacred things with wisdom. I am becoming someone who values depth more than attention. I am becoming someone who protects the promise until it is strong enough to stand in the light on its own. If this message resonates with you, comment the words, My lips are sealed. Let those words serve as a reminder of the commitment you are making today. Not a commitment rooted in fear, but one rooted in trust, patience, and respect for what is still growing. And as we close, carry this final thought with you. What is unfolding in your life is real. It may still be hidden, and it may still require time, but that does not make it any less significant. The quiet season is not evidence that nothing is happening. It is often evidence that something valuable is being prepared. So honor the silence, protect the flame, carry it close to your heart, and allow it to develop without rushing its arrival. One day, what has been growing in private will become visible, and people will see the strength of something that was carefully protected long before it was ever revealed. Until then, hold it with patience, guard it with wisdom, and trust the process that is unfolding beyond what the eye can currently see.